and welcome to Julia's Adventures of 2021. Hey guys, my name is Julia. Welcome to my channel. I am so excited to see you here. Happy New Year! We made it, we did it. It's a new year, new start, new positivity, new goals, new opportunities, and I'm so excited for this year. And I sincerely hope that you had a wonderful start to the year and wonderful holiday time with your families. And even though 2020 was a very challenging year, I hope that this new year brings you nothing but joy and peace and strong health for you and your loved ones. So for today's video, I am filming something very exciting and I wanted to film this for a long time. It is the difference between Ukrainian educational system versus Canadian educational system. So a little bit of a background. I'm Ukrainian. I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, and I completed my bachelor degree in Kiev. And I am now doing my master's in Canada. I'm in my senior year of college for my master's and I'm graduating this April. So since I completed parts of my education both in Ukraine and in Canada, I was really excited to make this video and give you some information. Maybe you're Ukrainian as well and you want to study in Canada and you want to know some information from a Ukrainian student that studied there, or maybe you're just curious how the educational system in Ukraine works. Either way, I'm so excited to give you some information, and without further ado, let's get straight. First thing I want to talk about is the concept of self-education. It is much more prominent in Canada. You always hear professors talking about it, that you're an adult, you don't need to attend the lectures. If you don't want to, you can do whatever you want. The lectures, though, help you understand the material better. However, there's like a large chunk of work that you do by yourself. You do research, you do Googling. You even have like some classes where they teach you how to do the research and how to analyze the information, the crap test. Generally speaking, you do more of self-education in Canada versus in Ukraine. In Ukraine, the professors, they say that it's obligatory to attend the lectures, and sometimes you get like points for that. Next item that is different in Ukraine versus in Canada is, what do you get your grades for? In Ukraine, there's this concept that the professor's opinion or whatever they are teaching you is the correct way to think, is the correct way to know how the process works, and the professors expect you to remember this. And when you do your homework or when you answer the professor's questions, they kind of have this expectation that you need to answer in a certain way, which is kind of a bummer because there's not really a lot of flexibility in expressing your opinion in Ukraine, unfortunately. So you usually get your grades either for like memorizing the theory from the book. Even if they ask you to express your opinion, they still have this like concept that you're wrong and you're right based on what you say. So if you say something that resonates with the professor, you will get a grade for it. If you don't, perhaps you will get some grades, but usually they expect you to know the correct answer. Versus in Canada, they value your opinion and they value your effort. You basically get grades for your effort, which is something that I noticed in Canada. Sometimes there are assignments that you're not very sure about and you just do your best. For me as a Ukrainian, I was kind of scared sometimes to submit something because I wasn't sure if it was correct, or I know that it wasn't technically what the professor is looking for, because I'm not a professional and I didn't know. And I would still get good grades because the professor would say that, you made an effort and you expressed your opinion, you had your like logic to your statements, and that's why you get grades, which is so freaking cool. I really appreciated that you can get good grades for trying and for effort, and they don't expect you to be perfect, which in Ukraine they kind of expect you to be like that. Not every professor, but there are like more instances of this happening in Ukraine versus in Canada, where the professor expects you to know everything and understand everything, even though you have not learned this before. Some of the examples I remember, in Ukraine we had the course called consulting. Professor was expecting us to know everything, and when we were trying to explain it how we understand it, we would like get grades decreased because it was not correct, or it was not the most effective way of thinking. But we just started this subject, and I mean, you can't know everything. Versus in Canada, we had the class where we had to use this new software for the statistics. It was called SPSS, I guess. We were not understanding it, and in the end we were just like like doing the bare minimum what we could understand. And then we were trying to do the research, and in the end we like it was a group assignment and we all got A's because the professor said that we made an effort. And I really appreciate the professors who appreciate the effort, but it's cool. Like I like to know that when I'm trying and when the teacher sees my effort, it gets rewarded. And this is the difference in that. This next item, we have briefly touched upon it. It's memorization versus understanding. In Ukraine, you have to memorize. There's no other way to put it. The homework usually looks like this. They ask you to read the topic, then they ask you questions on this topic. And usually like you read this and you have to memorize. So a lot of times like when they check your homework, it's usually just like reading and like reciting what you have read. Versus in Canada, they usually like ask your opinion and how you understand a certain concept, which is more effective in the future in your career because you're able to understand the process, how a particular thing works, and you have a better understanding on it. In Ukraine, it's usually memorization, and it is very hard, like especially to get grades, which grades are my next point. So just keep in mind that in Ukraine, it's mostly like you read the book and then you recite the book, which I know can be a little easier for some people. You just like read and then recite, but it's not so good for your career because you have to understand the process and you need to get your mind working. And they really do that in Canada. They really challenge you to express your opinion. Sometimes is a whole other topic that's very interesting. I'm gonna talk about it in today's video. However, I remember my first exam in Canada, the professor was like, the question is you need to write the definition of the concept and then you need to explain the concept. And for the definition, you can open your books, you can open your online PDF files, you can copy and paste, copy the definition on your paper. You will not have grades deducted for it, but then you need to explain how the concept works. You need to use your own words and your own opinion, your own understanding of the concept, and you'll get your grades mainly for that. Versus in Ukraine, I remember we had a test that I didn't write the definition as it was in the book because like you couldn't cheat and stuff. I would get bad grade because it wasn't written exactly as it was in the books. In Ukraine, you have to memorize. In Canada, express your opinion and you'll be good to go. Next item is competition versus collaboration. This is kind of a long one. I'm gonna explain the grading system of Ukrainian colleges and Canadian colleges. I'm gonna explain how this all works and how it is related to the name of this item. So in Ukraine, you have lectures and you have seminars. Seminars is the part where you get grades, you check your homework, you do tests, you present the reports and the presentations when you have them. So this 50 points for the seminars, they're divided by categories. So you get 30 points for homework, classwork, your discussions, your answers and stuff. Then you get 10 points for the tests, and then you get another 10 points for the presentation, final project report. The 30 points that you get for your homework, your classwork, you have roughly like 15 lessons, and you can get up to 3 points each lesson. 3 is being very generous in Ukraine, let me tell you. It's usually 1 to 2. Some professors even give you like 0.75 or 0.25. Kind of offensive for us because, you can explain the material and express your opinion and answer the questions and you get 0.25. It's kind of not fun. So here's what the problem is. You get 1 to 2 points each lesson and there's 15 lessons. So if to get the 30 points, you have to answer every lesson. And because there are a lot of students, it's not possible for everyone to answer during the lesson effectively and get those points. And also, if you don't answer in the lesson, you lose those points. So why is there a competition? Because every student wants to get points, and there is kind of this fight. There's just no other way to put it. It's fight. People raise their hands and let me answer, and then someone is answering, and if the opinion is similar, people interrupt each other, and it's a whole mess. Everyone wants to answer in the lesson and want to answer the correct way. Remember the first part where I talked about that the professor expects you to give the correct answer that is align with his or her opinion. That's why it's not so fun to get points, and there's a lot of like competition going on because everyone wants to get as much points as they can during the lesson. Versus in Canada, you have the percentage, you have 100%, everything is included in it. And how it works, there is no division on lectures and seminars, there's just classes. How it works is that you have your lecture, and then the professor gives you a certain time period to complete the assignment, and the only thing you need to make sure of is to submit it on time, and of course doing it effectively. But you will get grades for your effort. There's never going to be like a time where you expressed your opinion and you get a 0 because it's not aligned with the professor's opinion. It just doesn't work like that in Canada. You will still get some grades. Even if it's minimum, you will still get something. And everyone basically can get points for that. You know, there's no like, if I don't do this, like this time, this second, if I don't answer during the lecture, I will lose the points, because everyone has the same time period to complete it. You can like complete it in advance, so you can complete it on the last day, but no matter like how you do it, everyone has the chance of getting the same amount of points. Versus in Ukraine, you kind of like shaping your own destiny, and you need to make sure that you like work every single class. It's more competitive in Ukraine, and in not in a good way, because people are just like fighting over each other to get the most points, because no one wants to lose points, and you need points to pass the exam. In Ukraine, more competitive, people talk over each other, try to get their points, and in Canada, you're like more grounded and more focused in Canada to understand the material and to manage your time properly. Time management is way more effective because you get to choose when you do the assignments, and you don't need to worry about like being in competition with other students. You have yourself and your knowledge, and you just have to manage your time and submit the assignment before the deadline, and you're good to go. And it's so very simple. Now we're gonna talk about exams. So in Ukraine, we have, as I would like to call it, the exam is king syndrome. The biggest reason, and probably the only reason, I feel like, for the competition, for wanting to get as much points as possible, for interrupting other students and being so freaking competitive, is to A, being allowed to take the exam, B, doing good on the exam. The exams in Ukraine are incredibly hard because you have to memorize, make sure that you express the opinion in the way that the professor wants. Here's how it works in Ukraine. Remember the 100 points total, and then the 50 points for the classwork. Then you have 50 points for the exam. You have 5 questions, 10 points each, you get 50 points. You have to answer at least one question on the exam, because the passing grade for passing the course is 60%. So you have 50% maximum for the classwork, and so you need plus 10% to pass the course. So you still need to be prepared to know at least something on the exam. So basically, in Ukraine, you need to get as much points as possible, because the more points you get during the classwork, the easier it is for you to get more points on the exam. Exams are super complicated in Ukraine. It is insane. And you know, if you have a good backup of classwork, even if you don't do as well on the exam, you can still pass and you can still get a rather good grade. So that's why that is like another reason for people like having this competition over points, because everyone wants to get as much points as they can, because they want to have less stress during the exam. Especially if you're like an A student, it is absolutely obligatory for you to get 40 points during classwork, because A in Ukraine starts with 90 points. So you only get 10 points slot for an A from 90 to 100. And so if you get less than 40, even if you get the maximum amount of points for the exam, like 50 points, 50 plus like 39, it's 89, it's a B plus. It's not an A. And 40 points is like, it's very close to 50, so you technically have to like answer every lesson or do like really, really well on the projects and the tests. And that's why people want to get as much points as they can. And it's just all you get this pretty quickly in Ukraine. Like after the first year of university, first year you're like, oh, you know, like maybe if like I answer like not every lesson and get semi-good points, I will be okay. But then you go on the exam and it's super complicated. You started like counting how many points do I need to get in order to pass, and it's just not fun to like have your mind stress about it during the exam. Like instead of focusing on the material, so people want to get as much points as they can. So see what I'm talking about? The exam is king because everything that the students do before the exam, they do it in order to have a better chance of doing well in the exam. And it's very challenging and very stressful to constantly like think, you know, like I have to answer next class as well, and I have to do this, and I have to get this many points on the exam in order to pass. And it's just very stressful and not a pleasant feeling to have these thoughts when you're studying. And that's how it works in Ukraine. I don't remember a time where I wasn't stressed in the exam, and where I wasn't, because the exams are super complicated. And when you like see these questions and you're like, okay, like well, I'll probably get like an 8 here and a 6 here, and then you count the points, how much you need in order to pass. It's not a pleasant feeling. Now in Canada, grade in Canada is 50. So it's 60 in Ukraine and it's 50 in Canada. Very easy. Like, let me tell you, it is very easy to get the passing grade. I mean, of course, they don't recommend you to just, you know, like do the minimum amount and get 50, because when you combine all the classes that you take in a semester, you need to have 60%, not 50. See, in Canada, they don't have like the division on classwork and exam time. Everything is included in that 100% that you can get total for the course. You have midterm exam in the middle of the semester, and then you have your final exam, and it's all included in that 100 total. Technically, if say for example you were doing great in classes, you did the project really nicely, you get good grades, and then you have your final exam and something goes wrong, like no nerds get in the way, or you get complicated questions and something goes wrong and you fail. Let's say like it's like 25% for the exam and you get like, you know, 5 or something. But you have other points from classwork and they add up and you get your 50% or more, you're passing. Versus in Ukraine, if you fail the exam, if you get 5 points, you will not get 60%. And you fail and you will need to retake the test. In Canada, you know, it decreases the stress, because I vividly remember the situation. I once failed the exam and I was really nervous and I was like, oh my God, like should I like drop the course and what do I do? And the professor is like, you know, you have good grades for the labs, we still have a project left, it's gonna add up and you're gonna pass the course. It is very nice to know that if something goes wrong and life happens, you know, you can be stressed. Maybe like you take the exam after like something not very pleasant happened in your life and you're nervous or you're sad or hurt. You don't get the good grade on the exam or you fail the exam, you still have the chance to pass the course and you still have a chance to have good grades for the course, because the class that I failed the exam in, I still got a B, because there were other assignments and because there is no pressure on like, you know, exam is king, like if you fail the exam, you fail the course, because that's how it works in Ukraine. If you fail the exam, you fail the course. So that's that on the exam. So less stress on the exam in Canada, much more stress on the exam in Ukraine, because you need to memorize and you need to count your points and make sure that you get the right amount of points, and the whole process is way more stressful in Ukraine than in Canada. So now we're moving on to little things about both of these countries, Ukraine and Canada, that are worth noting. So the first thing is the Ukrainian study process is longer. In Ukraine, you have your exams in June, so your semester ends in June. And in Canada, it ends in April. So it's longer in Ukraine versus in Canada. Technically, in Ukraine, you have only 2 months of holidays versus in Canada, you have 4. Next thing, about the exams. In Ukraine, if you fail the exam, you have the opportunity to retake it 2 times. First one, you retake it with your same professor, with other students who failed the test. And then if you failed the second time, you have to retake it again, but you do it with the commission, with a special committee where they put like certain people and certain professors, and you don't know who's going to be there. There's a chance that you may even have to take it in another college, but you have the opportunity to retake the tests. And then if you fail the second time, either have to take the whole course again, or in like more severe cases, you can get expelled. But you have the opportunity to retake the test, versus in Canada, there's no such opportunity, you know, unless you have like a medical document that you were sick or sucker. That you were a sucker, you didn't want to go to the exam. No, I'm kidding. So if you have medical document that you were sick or that you had special circumstances and you couldn't attend the exam, you have the opportunity to retake it, but it will not consider the retake. It will just be considered as like you taking the exam. But if you fail the exam and like you fail the course, you have to take it again and you have to pay for it again. That's how it works. You technically get expelled only like for plagiarism. Cheating is the main one. When you cheat on the exam, you can automatically get expelled. That's what I explained earlier. If you fail the exam, but your points for other work add up and you pass the course, no big deal. But if you don't get 50 points, you have to take the course again and pay for it again in the next semester, and you have like an additional class in your next semester. The next item I want to talk about is the finals week in Ukraine versus in Canada. In Ukraine, your finals week, they have starting point and they have the end point, and there's only final exams. There's like 2 days break between each exam, and you have only exams. Versus in Canada, the finals week includes everything. Like you have your finals, you have your projects, you can have some additional assignments that are left, which I personally hate when they do it. You know, when you have your finals week and you're worried about preparing for the exams and doing the final projects, and then you have like this one class that has like one assignment left, even though like that class we already had examined it and the final project, and instead of like saying, okay, you know what, like we already done the exam, let's just call it a day, they include the additional assignment in the scope of finals week, and instead of like preparing for the exam, you also have to worry about this other assignment because you want to get a better grade. Kind of like what I don't like about Canada. It's one little thing that I don't like about Canadian system. But basically what I'm trying to say is in Ukraine, the finals week, because it's only exams. You don't have any presentations, reports, anything. It's only the exams because like the project, they go before the finals week. Versus in Canada, the finals week, it basically means a huge load of work, versus in Ukraine, it's more like a representative of what the title says. You know, it's exam week, you have exams. In Canada, finals week, it can include everything, and just means that you are very, very busy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I will do a lot more content about Ukraine and Canada. I also do a lot of makeup tutorials and other bits and pieces that I'm going to incorporate into my channel in the future. So if you're interested in learning more about Ukraine and Canada and just my life as a Ukrainian student in Canada, and you like makeup, don't forget to subscribe. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!